Just 81 days from now, we will be voting on many state elected positions. We've got the initiatives, all the Supreme Court positions, 5 of them on the Washington state ballot. And Let's Go Washington's initiative to restore parental rights is now getting some national attention from a group called Parents' Rights in Education. Worth a little recap here for how all this went down. I'll be brief here, but voters, you may recall, you might have been one who sent a parental bill of rights to the legislature after Let's Go Washington got hundreds of thousands of signatures. So lawmakers adopted that in 2024, saying, that's obviously the will of the people. We're going to adopt this into law. And that happened in 2024. But then they came back a year later and passed House Bill 1296, which once again made it so schools can keep secrets from parents. This was Representative Sean Scott, Democrat for Seattle, arguing in support of the bill on the House floor April 24th of 2025.
I'm rising in support of this bill because our job, your and my job, I believe, in this institution is not just to affirm rights, but also to ensure that those rights are applied equitably across race, across language, across income, and across ability. And that is for all parents and for all legal guardians. For families from marginalized backgrounds, Black, Indigenous, immigrant, and undocumented folks, there have been a recent initiative raised very serious concerns because of vague language. So without clarity, which is a lot of what this bill provides, Madam Speaker, you and I risk weaponizing, I believe, parental rights in a way that can exclude a lot of different families and people from different walks of life. This is a bill that aims to create very clear understanding. It protects parental and legal guardian involvement in student education. It's a bill that aligns with civil rights laws. It honors the diversity of families. So that is why I'm rising in support of this bill, and would hope that we're able to see a solution for real families across our state in this way.
So after 1296 was passed by majority Democrats and no Republicans, Let's Go Washington went back out again and gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures for yet another initiative to restore parental rights. But this year, in the 2026 session, majority Democrats refused to hold hearings on the initiative, and another one that would protect girls in sports, even though it is their constitutional duty under Washington state law. If an initiative comes to them from the people to the legislature, they're supposed to at least hold public hearings. They refused to do so, instead punted that to the November ballot. So that's where we're at right now. Now, Suzanne Gallagher is the executive director for the Parents' Rights in Education group. And she attended an event last weekend in Thurston County when Let's Go Washington basically held their campaign kickoff for the 3 initiatives that will be on the ballot in November: parental rights, protecting girls in sports, and the initiative that aims to repeal the newly adopted income tax. So I followed up with Suzanne Gallagher this week to ask more about why they're paying attention to what's happening here in Washington and why this issue, which is happening all across the country, apparently, with children, and schools keeping secrets from parents, why it's so important to their organization.
This is so important that our families understand it's not new. Other people are talking to your child, and they literally are not only coaching them in the transition possibility, but they're letting them know that this is happening at school. We can keep it secret from your parents until you're ready to make the announcement. And when you go home, you just act like normal. Your parents will never know. But at school, you'll be one person who you believe you really are. And your parents will have no idea. In fact, school staff is cautioned if this child is, if in her record it shows that she is transitioning, she or he, at school, and parents don't know, that they are to use the child's name, their old name, and their old pronouns when they're speaking to the parent. They go that far. I the word that comes to my mind is cult. And I've thought that for a long time, but it's being used more and more by commentators and those people who really are into this issue. It's very cult-like, where we're keeping everything from the parent, and that is gigantic when it comes to parental rights, because the law, federal law, and Supreme Court rulings support parental rights and their right to know, their right to be notified, their right to have access to records. All of those things are part of parental rights. So, guys, the law is behind you. What these people are doing is unconstitutional.
So again, you will see Initiative 001 on the fall ballot, as well as the Initiative to Protect Girls in Sports and I-645 to potentially repeal the newly passed income tax. Those are all going to be on your ballot. And you're going to start to see a lot of pushback from the no side on all three of these initiatives. So we're going to continue to be watching all of that closely. And finally, a quick update on the fight over the public investment impact disclosure statement. I have to slow down every time I say that because it's a mouthful. The PIID, which is a statement that will go alongside the income tax repeal. There's been a court fight over that because Let's Go Washington and others fighting it, including the state Republican Party, say that the impact statement that says, oh, don't support this, it's going to cut all this funding for education, higher education, healthcare. They say that's a bold-faced lie because, in fact, there's a very tiny fraction, only 5% of the legislation for the income tax that dedicates it to certain funding. Otherwise, lawmakers can use that money for anything they want. And it's already, I should say, it's not already in place because it's not until taxes for millionaires for what they make in 2028 that will show up in 2029 profits for the state coffers. So how they argue, opponents of the way the PIID is written, that you can't say you're cutting something that isn't even there yet. So there is some amicus briefs that have been filed in support of this appeal, which is now going to be in expedited fashion before the state Supreme Court, Arthur West case. Let's Go Washington didn't get their case heard. Arthur West, citizen who filed a challenge to the PIID, his case is going to be heard before the state Supreme Court. And Attorney Joel Ard today sent me a copy of the Washington GOP amicus brief in support of the appeal. So I want to put this up and show you in part what that says. It says that whether the public investment impact disclosure the AG's office proposes for Initiative 645, which tells voters the measure would decrease funding for public K 12 education, higher education, and human services, is false, and whether any PIID should replace it. While GOP's brief addresses two grounds, the income tax scheme in Senate Bill 6346 generates no receipts to the state until 2029. So repealing it does not repeal a tax, and the state's own financial reports show that spending in each named category rose in every year from 2017 through 2025, and in every completed biennium of the last four budget cycles. And I also just learned that former Supreme Court Justice Richard Sanders is also submitting an amicus brief in support of the appeal, in support of Arthur West's case. So that's pretty significant. The court has agreed to accept his amicus brief. And really, what that is saying we believe in this argument, we believe in this case. And Richard Sanders, being a former sitting justice, that's a pretty significant voice weighing in with an amicus brief. So this is all likely to be decided sometime next week. It's being expedited by the state Supreme Court, and we're following it very closely. So that's it for today's episode of Washington in Focus Daily. We covered a lot. Thanks for sticking with us, and thanks for watching on a Friday. We hope to see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.